Starbucks CEO Brian Niccol has been implementing significant changes to revive the brand over the past 6 months, a focus on improved customer experience, reducing wait times, reintroducing beloved features like ceramic mugs for in-store drinks. Retail experts applauding his efforts to personalise service and also streamline the operations, including layoffs to boost efficiency, aiming to transform Starbucks into a cosy, local coffee house while maintaining speed for customers on the go. So the question is, how's it all going 6 months into the job? Let's head to New York now. We're joined by Anna Olczyk, business reporter at Business Insider. Great to have you here, Anna.
Thanks for having me.
So what has been the problem with Starbucks? Because if you go to a Starbucks, it seems pretty busy. So what's the problem?
Yeah, I think the main issue was that people were, waiting too long for their drinks. There were reports about Starbucks being understaffed. And I think a lot of the menu had gotten really complicated. And so, part of what the CEO is doing now is kind of undercomplicating everything, making it more simple, bringing Starbucks back to the basics. It's always been known to have a lot of fancy drinks, but, the CEO is, cutting down 30% of the menu now. So really bringing things back to the basics and hoping to have, a more efficient and faster environment, and also bringing it back to more of a local cafe feeling and less of that fast food environment that maybe it kind of flocked towards the last few years.
And this is the CEO we are talking about here, Brian Niccol, who has his work cut out for him because Starbucks has really been seesawing. It should be doing so much better, many say. And as you say, it's similar to, in many ways, that fast food service, which isn't what people necessarily want. And it isn't fast. That's the problem, isn't it? Because all of these sorts of drinks that they've done to expand to cater to young people have become harder. The barista's heart doesn't seem to be in making them. They want to make coffee. Yeah. That's what it's famous for, right?
Yeah, I think, it had gotten a little bit too complicated. And with the mobile ordering system, people would put in their order and, the baristas would be flooded with, tons of mobile orders. And so they were really seeing, the timeliness of orders start to go down. So, I think reducing the menu is, hopefully going to help with that. That's the point of it. And then just kind of bringing like a lot of people are, looking for more of that local coffee shop experience where they can sit down, make it more of a part of their day. And so the CEO is really trying to hone in on that.
It's interesting. I mean, having too many customers is a great problem to have, but if it's frustrating your loyal customers, and therefore you have to make the choice, right, to lose some of those every now and then customers who want that fancy, hard to make, long to make drink, to keep your everyday regular customer happy who doesn't say, it takes forever to get my drink at a Starbucks, I just want an espresso or a latte, and yet I'm having to wait for all these people. I'm surprised that they didn't find a way to fix the operations by having things like ghost kitchens at the back which don't impact the front service of those walk-in customers, and that you can still deal with the mobile customers. Brian Niccol seems to have gone down the old-fashioned path. It works, of letting go of staff to improve efficiencies, letting go of menu items. But is there a different way? Have we seen other fast food giants be able to keep the menu big but keep the service fast?
Yeah, I mean, I think it depends. I think the CEO does have experience with, turning a fast food chain around. He was previously the CEO of Chipotle, and he, really turned that company around. So I think he, has experience with this. Only time will tell if it's really working. Right now, we see shares are up. There were still sales decline in its last quarter earnings, but better than the previous one. So there are some positive signs, but, we'll see if this method works. Like I said, his big theme is to make it more like a coffee shop, like a local coffee shop, while also bringing the efficiency up. I think he has a goal of, bringing the order time down to 4 minutes or less. So he's still trying to give that fast food experience with the timeliness, but make it feel a little bit more homey. And so he's doing a bunch of things to do that. One of the big changes was limiting the bathroom use and, free cup of water to paying customers. So he's really trying to create more of that cafe environment instead of a fast food place, while still bringing in the timeliness and raising efficiency. So it is a tough balance to strike, but we'll see if it has reward.
Oh, you make such a good point. I mean, anyone who goes to a Starbucks in the US notices the queue to go to the toilet, and very few of the people in the queue are people who have bought something from the Starbucks. So you try to have your coffee in a nice, relaxing environment while the guy next to you is trying to write his screenplay on his laptop. But instead, you've got this massive queue of people who are waiting to use the toilet. The interesting one as well about the ceramic mug as opposed to the takeaway cup is I would think that then you've got to have staff to wash and deal with the ceramic mugs. How does that fit into the business plan? And is it something which is a real concern? I mean, you mentioned his background at Chipotle. That's a very different fast food kind of environment than what you have at Starbucks, right?
Yeah, it's definitely a different environment. And I think that there has been some conversation about, some of the changes being contradictory. Like, for example, he's also bringing back personal messages on paper cups, which, some baristas have also said, well, that will, take more time.
Yeah.
So that, could impact this goal of making a drink in 4 minutes or less if they have to write a personal message on every cup. So I think that there are some, conflicting viewpoints, and people have different opinions on how it will actually pan out. But for now, there has been, some positive signs of how the company is doing. So, really we'll see how well it works in the next few months. And maybe he won't keep everything, but he has definitely announced sweeping changes across the company in line with this new goal. So, we'll see if he ends up keeping all of them. But yeah, I hear what you're saying.
It's funny you mention about the personalized messages. I think of some of my introvert friends who go to work and the last thing they want is a relationship with their barista because they're exhausted and tired and they really just need that damn coffee, as they say. Starbucks had a really interesting experience in the Australian market. It's doing okay now, but when it first arrived, and I'm going to say about 15 or so years ago, probably even longer ago, and this was a licensed franchising, wasn't run by Starbucks US, it didn't do very well. It went into places where Melburnians, which is where I'm based, are famous for their love of European coffee. The Italians and the Greeks brought this beautiful European style coffee. Starbucks arrives and sets up stores in many of these areas where you're used to that cute, cozy coffee shop, and it just didn't work. They then pulled out, took a few years to reassess, came back and focused on the city where you have a lot of foreign students, for example, who are used to Starbucks from where they are, and now they seem to be doing all right. Is that something that Starbucks US is now looking at, competing against the rising local coffee chains and also some of the other global players like Luckin Coffee?
Yeah, I think that I agree with what you're saying with the European, cafe model being very different from, what Starbucks has traditionally offered. And I think, there are other places that also dealt with that, difficulty with transitioning to the Starbucks model of drinking coffee. I think that I'm not necessarily sure that it's taking a page book from the European landscape, but it definitely is, trying to go for more of that slow coffee vibe, stay in the shop for a while. It's offering free refills now for coffee and tea. So there's definitely that effort to make people stay longer, and maybe take a little bit from the European model or other countries abroad that have this culture of going to a coffee shop and staying for a while and just making it a slower part of their day. So it will be interesting to see how Starbucks ends up fitting in with that.
Yeah, and Olczek, always appreciate your time from Business Insider. Thanks so much.
Thanks.